Hello, everyone. If you can hear me, then you've landed on Let's Talk News. And I'm your host, Leticia Romero. And don't change the channel just yet, because we have a lot to talk about with respect to foreign policy, China, Russia, Iran, Cuba. Lots of things are going on out in the world. And we're going to be together tonight to discuss it. Um, Mostly because I'm seeing that lots of people are um, mm, they're saying that President Trump is trying to destroy Barack Obama's uh, foreign policy legacy. So I thought that they're making it a racist thing. They're making it sound as if he's specifically going after Barack Obama, because you'll remember that it was Donald Trump who had said that he was foreign born and they made it racist then. And they're making it now as if Trump, has torn down the deal that Barack Obama made with Iran. And he's going to then negotiate the exact same deal. I saw somebody even say that, the whole goal for him is to erase what President Obama did because of the color of his skin. And I mean, it's just laughable. It's laughable that people are, are trying to make this a Trump Obama thing. Number one. Number two is it's laughable to say that Trump is erasing his work. And we're going to go through that tonight. We're going to go through Obama's work as president in the foreign policy field. And we're going to see exactly what he did. But the one thing that Trump is giving Obama great credit for and carrying on his legacy tenfold is deportation of migrant criminals. He even took Obama's top guy, Tom Homan, and made him the border czar. So this, talking about him trying to destroy Obama's legacy, no. That doesn't hold water. He's actually upholding a lot of the policies that Obama, did. Not the health policy, because Obamacare was just crap. It was just enriching the insurance companies. Oh, and while we're at it, I just want to address something else. Somebody, I think it was Jessica Charlov, said that Trump was putting his name on a whole bunch of things, and that it was disgraceful and no other president has put his name on things. Well, Obamacare is one, Bidenomics is another. So that's just bullshit about presidents, not Reaganomics. I mean, presidents have been doing this forever. And the public has been doing it, and so is the mainstream media. So I'm just sick of the bullshit. I really am sick of the bullshit. Okay, we have Francine with us. Hello, Francine. Great to have you. Thank you for joining. Hello, Mom. Thanks for the great dinner. Mom took us out to dinner. We had a really nice Italian dinner tonight. Al's going back to Pennsylvania, so it was tomorrow's his last night here. So it was a great dinner. We had fun. Hello, Debbie. Good to have you. Happy Thursday, Colleen. Good to have you. Hi, Angela Ricca. Good to have you. Hi, Karen. How are you? Thank you for coming and being so reliable, all of you. It's wonderful. Hi, Lucille, our OG. I'm so sick of the TDS. TDS is DOA to me. Yeah, well, really, they are. Did you hear what they did to Lori and to Kash Patel? That the FBI was spying on them on this campaign. Obama had the FBI spy on the first campaign, and Biden had the FBI spying on this campaign, looking for dirt to pressure them to flip on Trump or to leave Trump. Can you imagine? Yes, I can imagine. And the more that I hear about the dirty tricks that the Democrats were using our government to spy on campaigns, the more I am convinced that the 2020 election was not on the up and up. And you can't tell me differently, because I want to know what the CIA is doing and what they've been doing, because there are moles still in this government. That government, the agencies are so enormous that it's hard to find who the leakers are, the moles, the plants, all those things. And I hope before he leaves, Trump finds each and every one of them. I felt like the world hated us under Obama. Wouldn't even use my American flag beach towel out of the country because I wasn't sure who hated us. Actually, it's very interesting about Obama and his legacy, which I don't think was much of a legacy, but we'll talk about it in a minute. After reading Bill O'Reilly's book on Trump, that entire birth certificate was a way to get his name out there. Could be. I think he really believed it. And I don't know that he's wrong. I mean, I just don't know. Hello, Margie. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us. She's lucky she's still around. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Hi there, Susan. Swamp creatures. I think CIA was involved with JFK. I think you might be right. I know that in every government you have problems. But in this government, you never think that this kind of stuff will happen, that it could be sustained for this long. But yeah, it's crazy stuff. The whole thing is just, it's crazy stuff. And we have to be able to get rid of all the moles. We really do, because I don't know what's on the up and up anymore. And it's really getting me sick. It's getting me sick and twisted. But at the same time, you can't invest all the power in the federal government, because, whoever becomes president next can do so much more. That's the reason why I've always wanted small government. Small government. Trump said something the other day, and I wanted to pull this up and I forgot to do it. But Trump said at his State of the Speech, said, stand up if your first obligation as an elected official is to protect Americans. And the truth is that when you swear that oath to office, that's what you're swearing, to protect Americans, to uphold the Constitution and to protect Americans. That's the only thing that government was created to do, right? It was created to defend against enemies, near and far. That's what government is supposed to do. It is not supposed to be our fathers and mothers and God. It's not supposed to feed children. It's not supposed to do any of that stuff. It's not supposed to be a social experiment. Government is about keeping society safe, whether it's enemies from within or enemies from abroad. That's what it's supposed to do. That's its first function, and basically its only function. We've grown it to do everything. And the only way to ensure that government doesn't eat its people is for the people to keep government small. It's kind of like AI. Let's think about it like AI. They're saying that if AI gets to be so big, it will actually be smarter than humans and turn on humans, right? Let's think of government that way. Government becomes so big, the will of the people is no longer needed, because you have a bunch of people contained at the top that know better, that think they know better just by virtue of that they got to the top. That's where authoritarianism comes from. That's what happens with communism and socialism that turns into authoritarianism. You'll never have a real democracy where you have one person, one vote, because nothing gets done that way. And anyway, you have to have somebody managing it, right? And there can be arguments forever. That's why we have a constitutional republic. Our founding fathers were so smart to understand it was representative government. But even in socialism, somebody has to make the decisions. Somebody, a group of people. There's always, you can't just say every single person in the society will make the decision. It doesn't work that way. All right, so I'm going off on a tangent. From USA to the globe, that's where we are in corruption. Yeah, it's always been. But I thought we were a little bit better, but I'm learning no. Hillary testifies in Guthrie case when called. Yeah, well, that's a good point. That's a good point. Did you see that Dems are already bad mouthing Vance and Rubio? Oh yeah, they're already way down the line on this one. I mean, it's just what they do. Um, you know, they yeah, yeah, they have nothing else. They have nothing else. They switch, their goal is to sow chaos. And if they can create an environment where regular people feel that things are out of control and chaotic, then the people will vote in the opposite direction. That's what this is about. That's what they're trying to do. That's why they keep closing the government. They want Q1 to be as bad as Q4, or as Q3 rather, when they closed the government last year. Trump has to stay ahead of the shit. He has to. Government is to protect faith, family, and the American way. Constitutional republic for and by the people. Yeah, I don't know about. Yes, protecting faith. In other words, anybody can worship anyone, and that includes Satan. But it really, it's supposed to protect its people. It's supposed to make sure that no foreign enemy or domestic enemy harms the people of the society, right? Always for the greater good. Sometimes when you have for the greater good, the some people get sacrificed, but that's not what the new Democrats want. They want socialism where no, quote unquote, nobody gets sacrificed. But that's not true. That doesn't happen in socialism. What happens in socialism is everybody gets sacrificed, because if I can't have it, then nobody can have it. And the top takes all of it. Even that little city Chaz created in Seattle in 2020 had a hierarchy, and the residents got upset when they had to share their stuff. Exactly. Brilliant points. Okay, so let's take a look at what went on with Obama. I mean, just so that you know that Obama's policy, his foreign policy was not a great foreign policy. He reduced wars, right? Because he pulled troops from Iraq and Afghanistan. So they all applauded him for that. They didn't applaud Trump when he was doing it, but they applauded him for doing it. He didn't even pull all the troops out of Afghanistan. That didn't happen until Joe Biden, and we saw the exodus and what happened there. But he was applauded for what he did in the Middle East, because he reduced the number of troops in Iraq and in Afghanistan. In Iran, he had a nuclear deal of diplomacy. The 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action with Iran, negotiated alongside other world powers, get this, halted Iran's nuclear program for at least a decade. That's 10 years. All right. So that was 2025. Last year, it was set to expire. By requiring it to surrender 97% of its enriched uranium in exchange for sanction relief. Supporters argue that this prevented a potential nuclear arms race in the Middle East. And then a pivot on Asia and economic ties. Obama prioritized Asia to counter China's rise, negotiating the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was a disaster for America, because it opened up trade everywhere else. He wanted to take, China was getting a stronghold because they had cheap labor, and the TPP moved it to other partners, right? India and others. So it opened up the economy in that way, but it kept everybody working at below a living wage. So he did nothing for quote unquote democracy, or what the Democrats are supposed to do. And he restored, this is the best. This is what people claim. He restored our global image and alliances post the Bush era, when Bush was looking for the weapons of mass destruction. All right, so that's what Obama was supposed to have done. But let's take a look here and see what he actually did. Let's see. Iran.
And Obama is responding for the very first time to questions about the controversial $400 million cash payment to Iran. It was one of the issues that came up at his news conference yesterday at the Pentagon. The president also discussed America's new airstrikes against ISIS in Libya. Major Garrett is at the White House with the president's pushback against Donald Trump and other critics. Major, good morning.
Good morning. President Obama called talk of ransom paid to Iran for U.S. hostages a transfer that was carried out in big bundles of non-U.S. currency, the stuff of spy novels. The president said it was actually much more boring than that. Money that was owed to Iran in the first place and simply couldn't be transferred any other way. After reviewing military efforts against ISIS in Iraq and Syria,
Good afternoon, everybody.
President Obama for the first time addressed questions about a $400 million payment to Iran at the time 4 detained Americans were released.
We announced these payments in January, many months ago. There wasn't a secret. This wasn't some nefarious deal. We do not pay ransom for hostages. We do not pay ransom. We didn't here, and we won't in the future.
As yet, the administration has refused to say if the plane ferrying the Americans from Iran to Switzerland departed before or after the currency arrived, deepening the sense Iran viewed it as ransom. The president suggested the nature of the payment, not the timing, made the story intriguing.
Maybe because it kind of feels like some spy novel or, some, crime novel, because cash was exchanged. The reason cash was exchanged is because we don't have a banking relationship with Iran.
In the fight against the Islamic State, Mr. Obama said the tide is turning.
ISIL has not had a major successful offensive operation in either Syria or Iraq in a full year.
But the president took painful note of ISIS-inspired terror attacks in Europe and at home.
As we've seen, it is still very difficult to detect and prevent lone actors or small cells of terrorists who are determined to kill the innocent and are willing to die.
The president also touted coalition airstrikes that took off the battlefield 3 top ISIS commanders and intelligence gained from former ISIS strongholds in Iraq and Syria. Josh, it was by far the most optimistic assessment of the battle against the Islamic State, and one that obviously flies in the face of unrelenting criticism from GOP nominee Donald Trump.
So, yeah, he under the cloak of being America's first black president, what he did was he negotiated a deal that Iran broke. He paid them in cash for some bullshit about weapons that the Shah of Iran ordered from us but was never delivered. So you then you give it to Khomeini? I mean, our enemy? And oh, by the way, they started rebuilding the weapons of mass destructions even before Biden. So, your deal didn't hold very much. And then in the meanwhile, Iran, it expanded its regional influence amid sanctions relief from the JCPOA. So Iran, because we had sanction relief, they wound up were able to do business with others. So Iran's gains under Obama, Iran accessed 50 to 100 billion in frozen assets, not a U.S. gift, boosting its economic and funding proxies in Syria, Yemen, and Iraq. Militarily, it supported Assad in Syria and Houthi in Yemen, filling vacuums from U.S.-Iraq withdrawal and limited Syria intervention. Geopolitically, engagement under Rouhani, who was elected in 2013, improved ties with Europe and Asia. So Iran actually was bolstered under Barack Obama. The constraints, it did block the nuclear pathway, but it didn't really, because they wound up, building those weapons anyway. Iran gained short-term economic and proxy power, but this is claiming the nuclear cap limited existential threats, which is bullshit, because they continued to build that nuclear power. We know that because Trump had to go in there and bomb it, right? They were getting ready. So they gained money and they gained power and they gained a foothold in the economy of the world. That was due to Barack Obama and what he did. Now let's see what people say no foreign-born person should be part of the government unless he's been proven to be assimilated into America. No socialist should be in government. No one that does not have the American way should be in office. The freedom is too much to let these people become part of our government. I say no to that. That's why we are in the trouble. People in our government supporting their country instead of America. And the same is happening in the UK, and we see it. It very rarely do governments allow foreigners to be part of their government. Very rarely. And the ones that do pay for it. And the founding fathers were very, very worried about that. He empowered Iran and made them what they are today. Absolutely. He did it to China. He did it to Russia. He did it to Cuba. The $400 million payment to Orion was more than about getting the hostages out, and nobody's going to tell me anything different. He says it wasn't about getting the hostages out, but we know it was to sign the paper and pretend that they weren't going to build weapons of mass destruction when they were. I gotcha. Cash wasn't exchanged. It went in one direction. That is absolutely correct. One direction. Money laundering, pay to play. It absolutely was that. Hello, how are you, Andrew? Obama is such a liar and so corrupt. He brought all those socialist criminals into our government. He sure did. And he did it because he was cloaked in I'm the first black president, and his whole goal was do no harm. Was Obama actually the president? No. The same people that were running the Biden administration were running Obama. Remember, Obama was only in his second year as a first-term senator before he became president of the United States. How the fuck did that happen? And oh, by the way, he ran against Hillary Clinton in the primary. Let's remember that. How did that happen? Nobody knew who the hell he was. It's just what we were conditioned, right? You need to, support minorities, otherwise you're a racist. Part of the destruction of America. Yeah, I want to read your comments. We're going to go long tonight. I hope to see accountability in Minnesota very soon, like those responsible being brought to justice. Well, I agree that should happen, and I think that before Trump's term is over, we're going to see a lot of accountability. And it might just come in one fell swoop, because now we're seeing that they were spying on Lori Wild and Kash Patel, like they were spying on Trump the first time. Like Obama spied on Trump, so did Biden spy on Trump. So who are these people? They're embedded. They're embedded because they know what they're doing and they do it. He was a great orator, like a hypnotist. Yes, he was. And he was good looking and he was black. But, so he had everything going for him. They knew what they were doing. The same way that they did the casting call for AOC and Rashida Tlaib, Justice Democrats, they casting called for Barack Obama too. Who's the they? We need to get into that. Is it the deep state? Who is it? It's somebody. And same result. The Biden administration was a carbon copy almost of Obama, with the president actually sleepwalking. Oh my God, it really is a disgrace. It gets worse. Okay, let's see. What do I got here? Let's talk about Cuba.
Been nearly 90 years since a sitting American president strode these streets. Old Havana with its cobbles and colonial facades. But then 15 months after setting a new course with Cuba, President Obama is hoping to permanently bury a half-century of estrangement and take relations to the next level. With the staff of the newly reopened U.S. Embassy, the president spoke of a fresh start.
This is a historic visit, and it's a historic opportunity to engage directly with the Cuban people.
His hope, he said, is that before too long, Cubans and Americans will find scenes like this routine.
They think it's natural that a U.S. president should be visiting Cuba. They think it's natural that the two peoples are working together.
But for now, it still takes some getting used to. The American flag flying in the heart of communist Cuba. Obama's visit has been criticized as a photo op gift to a dictatorship that's made few concessions to earn it, least of all on human rights. Indeed, just before he landed, a regular Sunday ritual was repeated. The famed ladies in white anti-Castro protesters surrounded by government backers and hauled off by police. But Obama argues this visit will let him make the case for freedom to average Cubans, and both countries can only benefit. Mark Smith, The Associated Press, Havana.
None of that happened. He opened up for tourism in Cuba, so Cuba gets plenty of American dollars, but the people are no more free and they're not doing anything. Everything still goes back to the regime, everything. So, what did he do for Cuba? He did plenty for Cuba. He gave them an economy when they didn't have one. And that's why Trump is in the middle of strangling them now, because the people are not free. And that's what the Democrats are supposed to be doing, right? They're supposed to be freeing people. They're supposed to want a living wage for people, but they don't. When the TPP, spread the economy to other third world countries, but nobody was making a living wage. Nobody. And where were the unions? Why weren't the unions screaming? Why weren't the unions screaming that a living wage needs to be paid everywhere? Because if a living wage is paid everywhere and you have a constitutional republic or a more democratic system, then it's only good for America. It's only good for the world. But the Democrats always fall short of that. They never, they talk, but since the Civil War, right? Since the slave labor and their protecting of slave labor, they never, ever fight for human rights in other countries. But they give them money. So what is this? Why are they doing that? AOC, asshole of Congress. Yeah, that's true. Say hello to my little friend. Yeah. It's a giant plantation. Yeah, it really is. All right, let's take a look at Obama and Russia.
President Obama wrapped up his final overseas trip as president today, meeting with world leaders in Lima, Peru. The president met face-to-face with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. Errol Barnett is there.
It was a brief and somber exchange between President Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to the White House, the 4-minute meeting focused on Ukrainian sovereignty and a push for further cooperation in Syria. This is the first meeting of the two men since the election of Donald Trump, who has repeatedly praised Putin's strength.
We've demonstrated what's possible when our two countries work together.
In a formal meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, Mr. Obama put an optimistic spin on cooperation between the two nations. The president said leaders from across the Asia-Pacific have decided to move ahead with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a trade deal opposed by President-elect Trump. Throughout his three-nation tour this week, the president has had to assure other world leaders about the incoming president.
People should take a wait-and-see approach in how much his policy proposals, once in the White House, once he is sworn in, matches up with some of the rhetoric of his campaign.
Now, the president suggested Mr. Trump may be willing to adjust current trade deals and that the world should give the president-elect time to develop his policies. But privately, the White House is deeply concerned much of Mr. Obama's foreign policy achievements over the past 8 years could be erased.
Foreign policy achievements, right? So we already established that he achieved nothing in Iran. Here's what happened to Russia under Obama. The gains. Russia's economy stabilized post-2008 crisis, right? Remember, they were our biggest enemy, the Ruskies, right? That we've hated Russia forever. But he stabilized their economy. He helped to stabilize their economy. Their GDP growing from 1.2 trillion in 2009 to 2.3 trillion by 2013. They were on their knees when Obama took office. Let's see, before sanctions and oil price drops. Militarily, it modernized forces and annexed Crimea in 2014, marketing its first territorial expansion since World War II and challenging NATO's eastern flank. In Syria, 2014, Russian intervention propped up Assad, enhancing Moscow's Middle East role and countering U.S. influence. Election interference in 2016. This is what they're suggesting. Demonstrated cyber capabilities, though Obama responded with sanctions and expulsions. Critics argue Obama's restraint, no lethal aid to Ukraine, enabled these moves, ending the post-Cold War. Overall, Russia gained regional power through assertiveness, but at the cost of isolation and economic strain. Yet not really isolation, because what happened? They teamed up with China and Iran. And that's thanks to Barack Obama. Now, you know that the only reason that Trump ran in 2016 was because of Obama's foreign policy and what he was doing to reduce America's power worldwide. Trump saw this happening in trade. He saw how the power was being taken away from America and moved elsewhere. You know, the thing about Obama is that he was the one who started paying the most money in NATO to protect the world. You know, but that's the move, right? If you are a socialist or a communist, that's the move. You want to be the one that brings everybody together, and then you become the world ruler. That's the move. It's crazy. It is. It's crazy what he did. So nothing changed with Russia and China with the U.S. What do you mean? Nothing changed with Russia and China with us. I'm not sure what you're referring to. You got to help me, because sometimes I'm a little behind. Hi, Letitia Amaro. Hi, Tom. Good to have you. China is now the biggest threat to us. Oh, absolutely. So what happened is that Russia was on its knees. China was nothing. It was coming up, but it wasn't there yet. The TPP, it was supposed to take power from China, but it didn't. It just expanded it, and China utilized their ability, because all their people, they worked with the other countries to, milk the USA. And Russia, the bear was dead, and Obama revived it. And that's what happened there. And then, you enter Iran. So what did I show you already? Iran. Okay, so here's China. So the gains by PPP, China became the world's largest economy in 2014, with GDP surging from 4.6 trillion in 2009 to 10.4 trillion. Okay, he did that. Obama did that. The guy's foreign policy created wealth for everybody except America. Our tax bills went through the roof. Our healthcare bills went through the roof. Our pharmaceutical costs went through the roof because we were supporting the whole world. We were paying the bill for security for NATO. Nobody else. Militarily, it expanded in the South China Sea, modernized the PLA, and asserted claims against U.S. allies like Japan and the Philippines. Geopolitically, initiatives like the Belt and Road, launched in 2013, extended influence in Asia and beyond. Critics note the pivot was underfunded, eroding U.S. military edge. So overall, China gained substantial power, becoming a peer competitor. But Obama's strategy laid groundwork for containment without escalation through implementation was uneven. That is absolutely bullshit. Obama had no strategy. He had a strategy. The strategy was to undercut America. The strategy was to give America's wealth to the world, because that's the way socialists, communists, whichever, pick one. That's how they operate. Obama did this to us. And that's why Trump was against Obama. And they made it like it was racist. And still to this day, they make it like it's racist. And we have to be conscious of this. We have to be conscious of this. Obama said we just have to accept that manufacturing jobs are never coming back. Destroyed the working class. Also brought race relations back 30 years. Exactly. So he stole the jobs from us and he gave it away. That's what he did. That's what he did. We would pay the bill for security without a guarantee of security. Absolutely. And they all had their guns pointed at us. They were building nuclear weapons, and they were going to first shoot our biggest ally in the Middle East, Israel, and then they were coming for us. Trump saw it. He saw it. Remember, he's always been a critic of the government. Always, when he was a kid, he was a critic of Koch. He's always been a critic of the government. He always said it was too big, and the Democrats just grew it bigger and bigger. Trump warned us. That's the world order movement. Obama was a big part of stripping America's power. He was a figurehead. I guarantee you, the cabal was in charge, and that is the problem with Trump. They hate Trump because they can't be in charge with Trump. Trump sees through them. Hello, Mickey Petridis. The problem is that Trump's not playing their game. America became an empty suit. We became an empty suit with an empty wallet because we work till June to pay our tax bill, but our tax bill doesn't give us stuff. It gives everybody else stuff. And that's why the Dems are scrambling the way they are now. And they're going to try and rewrite history. We can't let them. We can't let them. Hi, Gloria. Do a shot on Obama thing on Facebook and I'll share it. I share all your shorts. This is great information. I didn't do a short on Obama. I did it on the SAVE Act, but I will. I'll do a short on Obama. And yeah, we'll get that out there because it really is. He started. Well, he didn't start undermining the world, undermining America. It was happening before. I believe, and you're all going to jump on me for this. I believe George W. Bush started it. I'm sorry. George H. Bush. H.W. Bush. Yeah. Clinton was another figurehead for the cabal. I think Bush, the one, was part of the cabal. He was from the CIA. I think that the Cheneys were involved. This is big. It's big. So I think that Clinton, they just got Clinton out there because he was at the time a sexy guy. And I think Epstein was part of this 100%. There's a lot. And Trump doesn't even know. No president knows what's going on. None. There's a lot to this, and we have to stand strong here, and we have to be careful, and we have to make sure that the information gets out and that people get out to vote, because people are losing heart. I mean, look on our show. Some of us were really, really upset about a lot of things. We can't be. Every time you feel like you're losing, you've got to step up and fight harder. Really, this is up to us to save our country, because we're on the precipice. We are on the brink. Trump says we got it back just in the nick of time. I hope so. I'm not sure, because I'm going to go back to Nostradamus. The yellow man will rule the earth. He was a piece in the Game of Thrones. Yes, Bush, the father. I agree. That's when it started like falling apart. I'm not saying that it wasn't always a problem, right? The founding fathers had a hard time allowing the people to make decisions. That's why we had the Electoral College. And that's why, in the beginning, only men who owned land could vote. So we haven't, free country is a concept. It's not that any country is free, but we were freer than most. And now we're watching our freedom dwindle. We are workhorses. That's all we are. We're worker bees. And it's for who are we working? With everything electronic and written documents becoming obsolete, it's easy to rewrite history. Oh yeah, and with AI, what do you know is true and not true? You can't tell. I agree with that. Bush was involved 100%. He was, and they ruined and I don't know. I don't think that's what you meant to say. The Rothschild. I think that, yeah, that's part of it. The banking industry certainly is part of it. But it's more than that. They need cogs. And, the whole fact that Congress, every single Congress member walks in a pauper and walks out millionaires. And we're just thinking about that now while we all freaking pay. I'm like, I have no deductions left anymore. And I'm worried how much money I'm going to owe the government. Why are we paying these fucking taxes? Because we're paying these crazy fucking taxes to give to other countries, not even to take care of ourselves. We don't get. The people in North Carolina still don't have their shit together. Hawaii from the fire still don't have their shit together. We have not rebuilt America, but we were giving money to foreign countries to not bring drugs in here that kill our kids. Think about the insanity of this. And the fact that even in the one big beautiful bill, they didn't realize that freaking deduction that was eliminated for W-2 workers, what was made permanent in the one big beautiful bill. Who the fuck put it in there? Somebody did. And nobody wants to read it. None of them read this shit. Recruited Epstein. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Because he was the one that was blackmailing all the upper echelons. This is about money. And why haven't they called his brother in? And why, I don't even give a shit about Hillary and Bill Clinton anymore with Epstein. I give a shit about them with other stuff. I want to know who recruited him. We know who recruited AOC, the Justice Democrats, Rashida Tlaib, what's her name? Spanberger. But who is paying for Justice Democrats? Who's paying for these campaigns? It's the CCP. It's the CCP. But even beyond, yeah, we have to pray for the U.S. I think Bush and Clinton were also pawns. McCain too, but not top guy. No, McCain, I don't think was a pawn. McCain knew a lot. We are on the plantation. We are 100%. And I don't care what color skin we have. We're all on the plantation. They want to make us, all of us, black, red, pink, orange, yellow, I don't care. All Americans, they want us to be like Indians. They want us to be like Chinese, like the Venezuelans, like the Cubans. They want us to be worker bees because males who own land had skin in the game. Absolutely. I feel like taxpayers should only vote. I agree. I 100% agree about that. Agree. This is so insane. Yeah. Well, we need to start thinking about it. Let's not let them lead us by our nose to the sexual stuff. Let's not let them lead us by our nose to, the tawdry stuff that's interesting. Let's not let them lead us by our nose to these stupid fucking games that they have on everybody's phone, to Facebook, to all of this shit. Let's not be led by our nose anymore. Let's think, let's see, let's open our eyes, let's talk, let's discuss, let's look at the other angle, especially my audience here, because you all here, most of you, a lot of you are older like me. We've seen the shit. We've seen a lot. We're teaching it to our kids, but we have a bigger obligation. They believe Clinton and Obama and AOC, right? The socialists, the people that want to undermine our constitutional republic. They believe it is their God. I don't even want to say God because it's not God funded. It's godless. They believe it is their destiny to socialize the world because they think that they're working for good. Even those people, up in Minnesota, even these people with TDS, they believe in their soul that they're working for good. Well, we have to start believing that we're working for good, right? Millions for gender studies overseas. I never went for that. Never went for that. Because there's no way that anybody was doing gender studying in Iran or in Africa. They said they were, just like the Leering Center. 500, right? Leering centers were out there. And now that they need to be licensed, only 6 applied. We are assholes. We are assholes. Us, the taxpayers, are assholes. And honestly, we should all just say we're not paying our taxes. Well, we need tariffs because we're not paying the taxes. We should all just say it. He's the one that gave them services. That was the only way he could be protected. His investment. Yeah. Stop sending money to other countries until our debt is paid. Fuck the debt. Yes, Chris, we're slaves. We are absolutely that. All of us. Doesn't matter the color of our skins. We need to hurt China by not buying products from, plus block their goods from coming into the U.S. with a blockade. He's doing it with tariffs. But which kid is going to say, I want to grow up and work in the factory? We have been mind-fucked to believe that we have to send our kids to college so they could be programmed. Do you see what we did? Because we want everything. We are a consumer nation. Our brains are programmed. Consume since the 50s. So we send our kids off to college to be programmed by people who hate America. Very true. The threat to American democracy, capitalism, U.S. decline started in 2008, which may have created a severe problem, sloppy government and corruption. Yeah, I think it was before 2008. I think, honestly, it was the 2000 W was just Cheney had W by the short ones. And his father did too. I mean, W was just Bush the second and Bush the first. I was one of those that voted for Ross Perot because I could not vote for that man. He reminded me of Candace Owen. There was just something about him that was off. I'd rather have Clinton than him because at least I knew what I was getting with Clinton. He was a spook. I didn't like it. I'm waiting for Jesus because there is no other hope. People are too dumb and lazy. I'm enjoying my space in nature and living a simple life. You know, people are dumb, but so were the Romans, right? So were the Romans. Remember, everything that we're doing now has been done already, maybe with different technology, but the Romans, sex took down the Romans. Immorality took down the Romans. Greed took down the Romans. It has happened in many, many, many countries, many, many civilizations. We wouldn't be the first to go down, but we can stop it. And we can't stop it by not talking about it. Let's see, Chris. And it's against the Constitution to send money overseas. You're absolutely right about that. And we really need to start, getting down on the Constitution. It's actually unconstitutional to tax people, but they changed it so they could. Had my taxes done in a 74-year-old. I owe the state and city over $4,000 this year. Wow, state and city. How about the feds? We consume and have short attention spans, too much information and distractions from life. That's true. And we've got to stop it. We have to stop it. Hang on a second. I have one more clip for you. That was that one. Oh, Venezuela. Let's see what happened with Obama in Venezuela.
Venezuela's Vice President Nicolas Maduro announced a military attaché in the U.S. Embassy in Caracas had been expelled for plotting against the government.
The officer has tried to get in touch with active military men in Venezuela. First to investigate military forces, and then to propose to them to destabilize Venezuela.
The Pentagon identified the man as Air Force Colonel David Delmonico. Venezuela's foreign minister later said a second U.S. attaché was also expelled. The Pentagon would only identify that man as Devlin Costal and said he had already been in the U.S. and won't be going back to Venezuela. Washington denies the charge that any embassy officials were engaged in plots. Chavez, a thorn in the side of the U.S. for years.
Yesterday, the devil came here.
In 2006, he attacked President George W. Bush.
Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, from this rostrum, the President of the United States, the gentleman to whom I refer as the devil.
In 2009, Chavez gave President Obama a book on American abuse in Latin America when the two met for the first time at the Summit of the Americas.
I think it was a nice gesture to give me a book.
But by 2010,
Obama to me until now has been a great disappointment.
the U.S. has accused Chavez of supporting radical movements in Latin America and even Hezbollah operatives. He's been a close ally of both Cuba's Fidel Castro and Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Chavez, experts say, always knew how to play all the sides.
With one hand, he tries to be the eventual evolution of Fidel Castro to the left. And on the other hand, he tries to make nice so it looks like he is not so bad.
Now, already strained relations, you might say, with whatever the new regime is in Venezuela. The State Department issuing a statement about those allegations against the attachés and saying, and I quote, "This fallacious assertion of inappropriate U.S. action leads us to conclude that, unfortunately, the current Venezuelan government is not interested in an improved relationship." Very tough words from the State Department about the expelling of the attachés. But look, Venezuela remains an important economic partner for the U.S. About 500 U.S. companies are represented inside Venezuela.
And then Maduro came in and took those companies and nationalized them. So Obama's foreign policy, looking back, did nothing but weaken the United States. That's all it did. It did nothing for us. It did everything for them and nothing for us. So if anybody tells you about Obama's foreign policy, the only thing that happened with Obama was people were afraid to say anything negative about him, except for Chavez, who called him the devil. But because he was America's first Black president, nobody wanted to be a racist. So nobody ever spoke badly about him. Obama's goal was to not start a war. That was his goal, because the operatives had to do what they had to do to get the economy the way it was. So, all right, we're way over, way over. I am going to say good night. Yes, I got your message, Deb. I'll bullet point it. And Gloria, I'm glad you're getting money back from the feds. It's the SALT tax that is the problem in New York, because when you're a homeowner and your property is valuable, you get fucked by Hochul and now Mamdani. So it is not great. I'll see you all on Sunday, unless we wind up invading Iran or doing something else. But God bless President Trump, because he's the only thing that's keeping us from communism. I mean, truly, he is. So good night, all. I'll see you on Sunday.